Every day you do everything right. The heat lamp is on, the food is fresh, the enclosure looks perfect. And your reptile is still dying. Not from neglect, not from bad luck. From one single mistake that almost every reptile owner in the United States makes without knowing it. A mistake that destroys the liver slowly and silently, and by the time you notice something is wrong, it is often already too late. Watch this now. Why reptile livers are so vulnerable. Reptiles are not like dogs or cats. Their bodies work on an entirely different set of rules. One of the biggest differences is how they process toxins. A mammal's liver is built to filter out harmful substances quickly and efficiently. A reptile's liver is not designed the same way. It is slower, more sensitive, and far less forgiving when it comes to toxic exposure. This is not a flaw in reptiles. It is simply how they evolved. In the wild, a bearded dragon or a ball python rarely encounters synthetic chemicals, artificial lighting, or processed food. But in your home, they encounter all of these things every single day. The liver in a reptile handles fat metabolism, protein synthesis, and waste filtration. When it becomes overloaded, it starts to fail. And because reptiles are masters at hiding illness, owners almost never notice until the animal is already in serious trouble. The number one hidden cause. So what is the thing sitting in most homes that is silently damaging reptile livers? The answer is vitamin A toxicity, also known as hypervitaminosis A. It almost always comes from the owner trying to do the right thing. Here's what happens. A reptile owner reads that vitamin A is essential for skin health, eye function, and immune support. That is completely true. So they buy a supplement and start adding it to their animal's food. What they do not realize is that fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin A, accumulate in the body. They do not get flushed out the way water-soluble vitamins do. The liver stores them. Over time, those stores build up to toxic levels. Studies in reptile medicine have found that liver disease is one of the most commonly diagnosed conditions in captive reptiles. A significant portion of those cases involve some form of dietary imbalance, with vitamin oversupplementation being a leading factor. Other major contributors you might not expect. Vitamin A toxicity is the most overlooked cause, but it is not the only one. There are several other common mistakes that put reptile livers at serious risk. The first is incorrect UVB lighting. Without proper UVB, reptiles cannot synthesize vitamin D3 naturally. When owners compensate by adding oral vitamin D3 supplements, the same accumulation problem occurs. Excess vitamin D3 drives calcium metabolism into overdrive and creates systemic stress that the liver has to process constantly. Second, fatty feeder insects. Waxworms are a perfect example. They are high in fat, low in nutrition, and highly addictive to reptiles. When fed regularly, they contribute to hepatic lipidosis, a condition where fat deposits build up inside the liver. Once this starts, it is very difficult to reverse. The third is tap water. In many parts of the United States, tap water contains chlorine, chloramine, and trace heavy metals. Reptiles that soak in or drink unfiltered tap water are exposed to these compounds regularly. The liver works overtime to filter them out, and over years of exposure, the cumulative damage is significant. The fourth is substrate off-gassing. Certain bedding materials, particularly some aromatic wood shavings like cedar and pine, release volatile compounds into the enclosure air. Reptiles breathe these in constantly. Their livers process what their lungs absorb, and this adds up over time. How to recognize liver stress before it becomes liver failure. Because reptiles hide illness so well, most owners only seek veterinary care when the animal has already stopped eating, lost significant weight, or become completely lethargic. By that stage, the liver may already be severely compromised. There are earlier signs that most people miss. Subtle color changes in the skin or mucous membranes can indicate jaundice. Mild puffiness around the belly or a slightly distended abdomen can point to fluid accumulation related to liver dysfunction. A reptile that used to bask actively and now avoids its hotspot is telling you something is wrong with its metabolism. A sudden disinterest in food after previously eating well is another flag. None of these signs are definitive on their own. However, if you see two or more of them together, it is time to see a reptile-specialized veterinarian. A blood panel can reveal elevated liver enzymes, and an ultrasound can show structural changes before the animal reaches a critical point. One thing that catches many owners off guard is how normal a sick reptile can look. They still move, they still react. They might even eat occasionally. This is not reassurance. This is the reptile's survival instinct masking the problem. In the wild, showing weakness means becoming prey. That instinct does not disappear in captivity. It just means the window to catch liver disease early is smaller than most people think, which is exactly why knowing these subtle signs matters so much. What to do right now to protect your reptile? The good news is that most of the causes of reptile liver disease are completely preventable. Here's what you can start doing immediately. First, audit your supplementation routine. If you are using a supplement that contains preformed vitamin A, listed as retinol palmitate or retinol acetate on the label, consider switching to a supplement that uses beta-carotene instead. Beta-carotene is a precursor that the reptile's body converts to vitamin A only as needed. This eliminates the risk of toxic buildup. Second, invest in proper UVB lighting appropriate for your species. Research the Ferguson zone requirements for your specific animal and match your lighting setup accordingly. When your reptile can produce vitamin D3 naturally, you eliminate the need for oral supplementation entirely. Third, use filtered or dechlorinated water for drinking and soaking. A basic carbon filter removes chlorine effectively. For animals that soak regularly, this one change makes a meaningful difference over time. Fourth, evaluate your feeder insect variety. Waxworms should be an occasional treat at most. Crickets, dubia roaches, and black soldier fly larvae are far more nutritionally appropriate as staple feeders and do not contribute to fatty liver disease. Fifth, check your substrate. If you are using any wood-based bedding, verify that it is explicitly reptile safe. Aspen shavings are generally considered safe. Cedar and pine are not. When in doubt, switch to a paper-based or bioactive substrate. Finally, schedule annual wellness exams with a reptile-experienced vet. Blood work done once a year can catch liver stress years before it becomes liver failure. Prevention is always less expensive and less heartbreaking than treatment. If this video helped you, hit subscribe so you never miss the information that keeps your reptile healthy. Leave a comment below and tell me what species you keep. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.